Hey, what's up, guys? Coach Chris here, Coyote Fitness in Richland. We're going to go over the open workout 22.2 that was just announced, and we got a great one for you this week. It's going to be a couplet of deadlifts and bar facing burpees, and the rounds are going to go like this. It's going to start off with 1 rep of each, 1 deadlift, 1 burpee. Then it'll go to 2 of each, 2 and 2. Then 3 of each, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then it's going to work back down the order there. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The RX weights on those deadlifts are 225 for the guys, 155 for the girls, and then for the scaled weights, we've got 135 for the guys, 95 for the girls. So, initial thoughts. First and foremost, ouch. Don't say I didn't warn you. It's going to be a burner. There's a lot of up and down in the movement with the deadlifts and the burpees. You throw in that the deadlifts are going to be a little bit heavier. It's going to spike the heart rate really quick. It's going to get in. You're going to feel it in the lungs. Going to feel it in the hamstrings, the lower back. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to do it. Number 2, it's a lot more reps than you think. When you look at it, when you do the math on it, it is 100 reps of each, and 100 reps of bar facing burpees is always going to be challenging, and that's also going to be a pretty decent load to try to move for 100 reps on those deadlifts as well. Next, pacing and efficiency is crucial. If you go back and you watch the open announcement, you watch the girls, Laura Horvath specifically, in that first heat, kind of bouncing out of the burpees, pulling both of her feet back under her together to try to get closer to the bar and move through the burpees at a quicker pace, and she really paid for that as she got into the higher or the bigger sets. She was like less than halfway through the time cap and was already slowing down significantly. You compare that to the guys when they were a lot more controlled with their burpees. They were stepping out of the burpees from the bottom instead of jumping up, and they were a lot smoother, and they ended up being faster with their time. Fourth thought, finishing is definitely doable. It can be done. There's a 10-minute cap on the workout, but finishing it can be done, but you're going to have to push. You're going to have to hurt a little bit to do it. So let's switch sides of the boards over here. Let's talk about these 2 movements individually. First of all, with the deadlift, like I said before, it's going to be on the heavier side, okay? Even with that, you want to make sure you need to try to touch and go those reps as much as possible. So think about this. If, let's say, we were doing strength work and we were doing, sets of 5, okay? And we were doing 5 touch and go reps. When you're pulling off of the ground, it's always that first one coming off of the floor that's always the toughest one. And then if you can tap the floor and come right back up, you can utilize that stretch and shortening of the muscles to help give you a little bit more momentum standing up. So even though the weight feels really heavy initially coming off the ground, you're really going to want to touch and go those reps as much as you can. Lastly on these, make sure don't get sloppy on your technique, okay? Make sure you keep your hips down so that you can drive your feet into the floor and push the bar away from the ground. Try to stay with that. If you let those hips start getting too high and you're just doing all the pulling with the hamstrings, glutes, and lower back, it's going to fry that lower back up really quick. And then when you start going into burpees with that, it's just going to be more and more strain on that posterior chain, and it's going to do nothing but slow you down. Next, on the bar facing burpees, pay close attention to the standards, okay? So we're going to have a tape line on the ground that your chest must touch, okay? Must touch there, and that just makes sure that you're staying perpendicular with your bar when you go down to the floor. Okay, secondly, jump. It says in the standards that you do not have to have a 2-foot takeoff, but you cannot step over, and both your feet have to be off the floor as you're clearing the bar. So that's just a fancy way of saying jump. Actively try to jump over the bar. And then lastly, make sure you're landing on 2 feet. So don't try to skip over the top. Don't put 1 foot over, jump off the other one, and then land on the other foot there on the other side. So make sure you get a good jump, land on 2 feet. Do opposite turns going over the bar, okay? If you are going to jump and try to turn in the air, as you go over the bar, try to turn a different direction every time. So like what I mean by that, let's say I'm doing the workout out in the middle of this floor. I want to make sure that when I go to jump over the bar, that every time I jump, I'll say I want to turn towards the wall where the whiteboard is. So what that does is, as I jump over here and I come back, I jump over that way. That means every time I'm turning this way, it means I'm not jumping and turning in a circle, and I'm not going to get dizzy, okay? So that's something that you're really going to want to think about, especially with all the up and down. You don't want to get dizzy on top of that. Lastly, be consistent with your movement. Make these burpees as consistent and as cyclical as possible. You want to get your hands down in the same place. You want your feet to move to the same spot, and you want to try to take out any false step. Every step that you do should be either getting your feet back or getting them back up and then getting over the bar, okay? Let's minimize any extra movements as much as you can. All right, so finally we're going to finish up here. We're going to talk about strategy. So depending on your goal, I would go one of two ways with this. If your strategy is fitness, you want to get as much fitness out of this workout as you can. You're not really concerned with trying to hit a certain score or anything like that. You just want to get a really solid day of training with a good, tough workout. First and foremost, prioritize the deadlift technique, okay? Like I was talking about earlier, keeping those hips down, keeping that back nice and strong, pushing the bar away from the floor with the legs, and trying to minimize the load you're putting on the lower back, glutes, and hamstrings. Okay, secondly, don't come out too fast. Okay, settle into those burpees, hands down, maybe walk the feet back, walk the feet up, jump over, and try to focus on being just nice and steady pace through the workout, because all of the up and down and the heavier weight is going, like I said, it is going to spike the heart rate regardless of how fast you go, unless you're just walking through the workout. If you give it some kind of effort, you're going to get all you want out of this workout. Lastly, break up those bigger sets of deadlifts, okay, just to save the load on that posterior chain. When you start getting maybe to like the set of 7, 8, somewhere in there, and all the way to the opposite set of 7 or 8, I would break up those. I'd break up those deadlifts into smaller sets, okay, like try to split the set in half some kind of way. If your goal is competition, you're trying to get the best score possible, okay? You want to, you really want to take it to the next level. You have to push hard on those first 4 to maybe 6 rounds, because there's so much transitioning in there in rounds. These first 4 to 6 rounds, that if you come out too slow and you're racing somebody, there's no catching up. You've got to burn it out those first few rounds. I'm not saying that you necessarily need to bounce out of your burpees like the girls were doing, but you go watch the guys in that open announcement. They were very steady, but they were pushing the pace, okay? They were kind of staying right underneath that red line, but they were flirting with it for those first few rounds, and then you settle into a pace right here through the middle. And then if you got anything left in the tank, hit the gas and see if you can get this bad boy done. Lastly, be quick on your transitions. So, let's go right here first. Stay unbroken as much as you can on those deadlifts. Okay, if you've been doing CrossFit for a while and you've done some workouts with some heavier deadlifts, I think you'll see that the load it's heavy, but it's not that bad, considering that none of the sets are really that big. So if you're doing a good job of keeping good technique, managing your effort on the burpees, I don't think going unbroken through the deadlifts should be out of the question. I think that should probably be your goal for sure. Lastly, be quick on your transitions. This kind of goes back to what I was talking about with pushing hard for those first few rounds, okay? You've got to pick up the pace there at the beginning. Get your hands on the bar. Pull that first rep, and even if you need to stand at the top for a second and take an extra breath before you start churning out that set, do that. If you need to take an extra breath at the top of the burpees, do that. But get into your set as quick as you can. Don't spend a lot of time looking at the bar before you do your deadlifts or before you go down to your burpees. So that's all I've got for you guys on this one. good luck, and hope to see some awesome scores. Hope to see a lot of people finishing. Okay, we'll see you guys later.